If I say menopause to you without overthinking it, what would be the first word that comes into your head?
I'd say mind.
A lot of people will think older, like you're thinking of an older woman.
Right.
Some of the stories are criminal. You wouldn't expect your worst enemy to have gone through some of the things that women have gone through.
Are there things that women can do years in advance to prepare their bodies?
The big thing is I always do say, what piece of advice would you give to somebody in their 30s? In the 30s, you're probably busy raising a family predominantly. But if you're in the middle of raising a family, the last thing you are going to be thinking about is yourself or menopause.
What is one lesson you think every young entrepreneur should learn early?
One of the things I really do regret, and I don't regret a lot, but is the ability to...
So Trudi, nice to meet you. How are you?
Very good, thank you very much. Lovely to meet you too.
Good. Thank you for coming on. My first question is, for anyone that has clicked on this video and perhaps don't know you or what you do, could you introduce yourself, please?
Certainly. My name is Trudi Roscouet. Commonly now called Mrs. Menopause, thanks to the local media. I'm not sure that I'd like to be put into that category all the time. I used to be a party girl, by the way, so I thought I'd put that in now. I'm the founder of Eve Studios, which is an all-women's studio based on fitness and well-being for girls and women of all ages.
Perfect. Yeah. And my second question is, looking at who you've become and the business that you built today, is this the life you thought of when you were younger, or did you have other aspirations?
Yeah, no, it certainly wasn't. If you'd told me at 21 that I was going to be known as Mrs. Menopause, hey, I wouldn't have known what menopause was to begin with. No, my idea was to become a policewoman.
Oh, wow.
But I always wanted to be the best at whatever I was going to do. I always wanted to be the top. So, in fact, what I ended up doing was actually doing my business and management qualification, and then went out and became a PA, secretarial, started off that route. Then went into finance and went into the private client side, the trust and company side. So did that, became a director, running a trust company, then had 2 babies, which kind of, in those days, 20 years ago, and I'm sure your mum would agree with me, that in fact we weren't allowed to do part-time work and there was no hybrid working. You know, you either had a child to strapped to you or, so it became very difficult with two young babies to do that. And then in 2000 and just before 2008, I decided I wanted to leave the finance industry. That was the first time of leaving the finance industry. And I set up a training company. And what it was training CPD courses, continued professional development courses for business people. So then I started writing courses about how to become a good administrator, then about funds and about investments, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then 2008 happened, which was the recession, the number 1 recession, and that absolutely wiped me out because nobody wanted to pay for training anymore. So that was another idea gone. So the first time of going back into finance again, you'll see there's a bit of a theme here, right? Always go back into finance when it needed to go back into finance. Then I was training for a show because I used to do a lot of amateur dramatics. And whilst I was training for the show and getting fit after 2 babies, the boot camp lady said to me, "Have you ever thought about becoming a personal trainer?" And I was like, "Absolutely not. Absolutely not." "Yeah, but you're really good. You're motivating all the others and you're pushing everybody else. And you're like taking over the whole boot camp."
Course,
and I was like, "Oh God, am I? Is that bossy?" No, I think it's assertiveness. And I then thought, well, why not? So in 2010, I did a sort of online, I did about 6 months online. And then I went over to Lilleshall, which is the Olympic Training College in Birmingham, and qualified as a level 2 and level 3.
Wow.
But by then I was 45, so I was kind of the older PT, so I was with a lot of young people coming in. And at that time, they wanted us to focus. We were like, "Oh no, we're not going to focus. Personal training, you just take anybody, it's money, it's a job." But actually, at that time when I was at college, I thought, women and children, that's my niche. That was back in 2012. And then I came back to Jersey, literally started off in Body Rocks #1. And I just focused on women and children. And that was, that was really how it saw me going through for many, many years.
Yeah. Nice. Okay.
And no, I never did join the police force.
No.
I did go forward though. I did actually go to Devon and Cornwall.
Well,
I did all the exams. Unfortunately, I was diagnosed with a condition called ulcerative colitis at the time.
Okay.
And D&C were like the top police force.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Look, we're not going to have you because it's supposed to be a stress condition." They were like, "No, we're not going to have you. Do you fancy the Met
Yeah.
or go up to Manchester?" And I was like,
"Absolutely, I'm all right."
That was where that one went to.
Yeah. And my next question is, before Eve, had you always wanted to start a business?
Well, yes, I suppose I was in finance and I kept on going backwards and forwards into finance. So then if I take you back through when I left Body Rocks, which was probably about 2015, but just before then, I'd had this idea of opening an obesity centre in Jersey for women and children.
Okay.
And it was very clear in my head because I had been following the UK lead at that point. And everyone in the UK was developing a 7-year obesity strategy plan about how to manage obesity. And I kept on knocking on the Jersey government's door saying, we need to be doing something. They were like, yeah, right. Well, we're spending too much money on diabetes type 2, heart disease, high blood pressure. And I went, yes. Do you know why? Because we all eat too much. But they weren't really listening to me, and it got very frustrating. You'll see a theme on that one as well. And then I went to open my own centre, and I put a lot of money in towards it, and the venture capitalist, and I had all the plans drawn up, and it was sort of really clear in my head what we're going to achieve. And then the venture capitalist pulled out because he said it was the wrong end of town. And it was actually right by in Don Street, actually.
Right, okay.
So he said it was the wrong end of town. It should be down by Castle Quay and around the finance centre.
Yeah.
So I tried to lick my wounds and tried to look at smaller premises. And then I got stung again. And by 2015, I was like, do you know what? I'm done. I'm done with fitness. I'm done with health. So I walked out of the business, literally had surgery on shoulders, knees and everything. And I went, that's it. Yeah. So back to finance.
Yeah.
You see that theme? See that theme? Back to finance. Yep. Yeah. So yes, the idea was I always saw the model.
Yeah.
But obviously that was 2015.
Yeah.
And Eve didn't come up till 2024. Yeah. Spent 2 years in Spain.
Yeah. Nice.
And ended up teaching Pilates in Spain and working with physios in Spain.
Nice.
Because that's my sort of speciality, the treatment of Pilates. And started to feel a little bit of the love again. And then I moved back to Jersey and back into finance.
Okay.
Full time.
And my next question is, what motivates you today versus what motivated you when setting up your business? Or do you think it's the same?
Oh, I think it's the same.
Same, yeah.
The one thing I would always say, and I know that you probably ask me this question, and people told me this over and over again. If you start reading books, so when you start becoming self-employed, it's a completely different ball game.
Yeah.
Read books like the E-Myth or the E-Myth Revisited. That was the start of it, and it showed you, where the failures, how 1 in 5. It's normally 5 out of 5 businesses fail in the first 5 years because you lose your love, you lose the passion, or you're a baker, so you make a cake. And then people go, God, I really, really like that cake. Okay, I'll make 10 of those cakes. Yeah. So that then, okay, well, actually, we've now got an order for 50 cakes. So you're trying to run a business, make 5 cakes, make 50 cakes. Until in the end, you go, do you know what? I'm done. I never want to see a cake again in my life. And it kind of is really difficult like that. So the motivation for me was always about seeing a vision. And I realized that this was more than a money or financial thing. It wasn't like a financial service business. This was because I wanted to help women. I saw where the problems were. I could see where there were holes over here, well, in fact, most places. So yes, the motivation is my helping other people. # follow your passion.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. And moving on to your business, did you ever have moments where you thought the business would never happen, perhaps when setting up or early stages?
Well, I suppose going back on the story, if you think back in 2012, whatever it was, when that went, I spent nearly 24 hours in bed, like so depressed. I mean, like, and my other half, who's not the most empathetic creature, said to me, well, what are you going to do now then?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I can't actually think of that because I just like being kicked right between the legs. So then I never ever believed that I was going to set up over here. We left for Spain, a new life. What we didn't see coming around the corner was COVID and Brexit at the time. So both of those, which we were down in Spain for. And during that time, that was when the menopause space came into it. Because I had been told I was going through the menopause as I went to Spain in 2019, had absolutely no idea what the menopause was. Not a clue, right? Not a clue. But during that time in COVID, when in Spain we couldn't move, we just were locked in, locked down. We never had 1 hour of fitness and able to, we had to. And we got stopped by the police more times than I can count for not having a document. I mean, they were really. They're not like the honorees. They're not like the honorees. Let me tell you. It was like 6'6" guard coming in with guns at the door, and they're like, "Where's your papers?" You're like, "No, Espanol." But, so that went out of the window. And when we came back to Jersey, the biggest thing was survival. We came back with nothing. We had nothing. Literally not a penny. And, my mum bought us a bed.
Oh, wow.
We literally started from scratch. So that was that was December 2020. So it was, when you think from there to now, in that sort of 5 and a bit years, where and how life has changed. So no, I didn't think it would happen.
Yeah.
Once I'd seen the venue, once I walked in, and it was a friend of mine who said, "I'd like you to come and see this," and we were going to do the business together. And unfortunately, it didn't work out, and she moved away early stages. But I was in shock that I was going forward with this. I mean, there were so many things that were happening that I didn't foresee. So, like, for example, my mum had a really big accident on the February the 11th, 2024.
Right.
24, 25. Oh, 25. See, I'm even. November 24, I saw the premise. And then it was all going ahead with my friend. Anyway, it got to January, she started getting a bit cold feet. And I was like, I hadn't heard from the landlord. I was like, you know what? This isn't going to happen. I've got myself all geared up again.
Yeah.
I didn't try to get any funding. I had no money. I was like, what am I going to do? Even if I go through, so, what am I going to do? Those are doubts. When you're looking at a physical business, it's one thing, an online business. And then my mum had this accident, February 25. And it was a day that I was going to see the landlord, which was the president of the United Club. So that's above us. And the United Club used to be an all-male, very sort of upper class, blue collar, or white collar man's club. Although they did have women, and I went in there, and I went in there to say, no, look, Mum's just had an accident 24 hours ago. I don't know what's going to happen. And I walked out of there of that meeting and I went, oh my God, I've just said yes to taking on a leap that I have no money. I have no idea how we're going to do this. I honestly, it was the most mind-blowing moment I can honestly say, bar having babies, right, that I think I've ever gone through in my entire life.
Wow, okay.
So, yeah. Did I have moments of business with happening? Yes. But I just have to keep praying that we were doing the right thing.
Yeah. And what is the overall problem you were trying to solve with your business?
I think it was a safe space for women to come into. I always knew it was for women only. I knew that there were issues because of my work through the menopause space. By then, I'd done quite a lot of conventions in the UK. I did a lot of work in Gibraltar, Spain. So I kind of knew that, and obviously I was of an age where gyms weren't. So I was a PT. I'd worked in the PT health industry. I'd put on a lot of weight. I couldn't understand how to do that. I didn't want to go back into a normal gym. So I had actually walked the walk, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
I was there. Obviously how it's developed has been completely mind-blowing, but that's coming up to it. But yeah, it's been a great challenge.
That's good. And what were the first few months like setting up your business?
Well, I was going to say, no money, my mum in hospital. I was working full time in the finance industry, but because I was signing the lease on quite a historic building, the media had got hold of it. So they were like, it was going to get spicy. I then had to go to my employer and say, right, I've got a little problem here. I might be taking on... I couldn't really keep it very quiet because he went, is this you?
Wow.
Yeah, this is me signing a lease of all you're working for me. Yeah, that's right. That's it. Do you mind reducing my hours a bit so I can potentially get another business off the ground? Not in competition with you, honestly. So then my whole thing was firstly how to raise funds.
Yeah.
It is of no lie to say that I had no money. So it was a very interesting stage to be at. At least if you're thinking of going into a full-time self-employed business, you'd like to have, the advice is to have 3 months salary in the bag. I would potentially advise everybody about 6 months to a year, but
so 3 months doesn't seem
it doesn't go very far. Let me tell you. So it was literally I'd gone to a lady who used to come to my Pilates classes, and she was a financial, she still is, a CFO. And I went, I've got this idea, but she went, here's the first 10,000.
Oh wow!
And I went. It was a Monday morning at 7 o'clock, and I went, oh my god, this is real. Somebody's just giving me some money. Like, do they believe it? Do they not know what I'm like? I might get bored. I might not think this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then I went to another friend who also is a very entrepreneurial lady.
Right, yeah.
And she's got her own business.
Yeah.
And she went, yeah, I'm in. And I was like,
wow.
now it's scary pop-up time, right?
Yeah.
This is now I've got to put this ideas. All this is in here, this is in my head.
Yeah.
And so my other half, who has built properties before and everything back in the day, he was a carpenter or joiner back in the day. I went, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't make a studio. The initial room was a 1970s long. It was the old registry office, so there's beautiful granite fireplaces in there, beautiful granite archways. It's a 1600. The origins is a corn market. We weren't elected a listed building, which is incredibly important in Jersey history. So you can't do anything without dotting I's and crossing T's. And here we are trying to look at how we could create studio spaces and, and having to go through planning, which I'm sure for anybody who would know the Jersey ways is another challenging opportunity. But we got through the first hurdle. It was only up until the day before we were due to open that they'd said no.
No way.
No, so we ended up having to spend a lot of money to get a heritage advisor in to show that we weren't actually disrupting the origins of the building. So my other half, Derek, he took on the project build. And obviously without him, it would have been really difficult to start putting walls up. And obviously I know nothing about stud walls. I've learned a lot. And bridging, if like. So but I suppose one of the things I quite like, I roll into managing. How do we talked about stress and managing it, and during that time, because it was so surreal. Because I was still working, obviously, doing a bit. Sometimes. God bless them. Probably my best company I've ever worked for as well. Was I was able to sea swim. So every day from February, I would go down into the water. I did do cold water. I didn't just throw myself into Gory Sea or something in the harbour, just to clarify that. And to just take 5 to go, right, if I am meant to do this, you are going to have to show me the universe that you are going to help me and do what I need to do. You're going to have to show me some signs where I'm expected to raise all this money, how to put business plans together, how to do budgets. And I suppose one of the things that you learn now, the power of AI was at the point when, and this was a year ago, that I started to, people said to me, you need to use ChatGPT. And I was like, what? Right. So ChatGPT is now a non-executive director of Eve.
Right. Okay.
Claude.
Claude.
Claude's my other director. But it's amazing what you can learn.
Mhm.
And people like yourself starting out, it's like, how many years have we had to get this experience to try to understand a profit and loss and a budget? You can actually put a bank statement into Claude and he goes, yeah, that's fine. You've got the other way. I'm still like admonished by what it can do. But you do learn a lot.
Yeah. And you have managed to build a great community with your business. Was this always the goal, and how important is the community to Eve Studios?
Well, this question you've asked underpins Eve.
Right.
And certainly now, 12 months on, Eve is a community. It's a community that's within a community. So
nice.
We have girls from 11 is our youngest to, I think, the oldest. Well, I still get my mum to come in on seated yoga, and she's 82.
Wow.
So but our oldest members are 70, 75 that come in for a lot of classes.
Nice.
So there is a huge community of different ages. You can either come in and do your class because the goal is really important for people, like, why are you doing it? You're meeting new people, and it's lovely because I can sometimes just come in to a class or into the studio before they're expecting me and just listen to what the women say. Oh, it's so free. Oh, it's so great. Well, apart from that Trudi, because she's coming in now. But they love it because it's not just about going to the gym like what you would do when you were younger because you want to look good. This is now about friendship. We are heading off on Saturday to Carteret on a rib. There's 12 of us all going over there to go and have lunch. And last week it's our first birthday party, so we had tapa and drinks at a local bar. We've already done a swim and a sauna. So the idea is you're bringing that together. So yes, the community element actually is driven from the women themselves.
Nice.
In that, but also it drives from the ethos of the staff. So when you're talking about bringing people into the business to work in the business, again, everything that I've done from Eve, literally from the day I signed the lease, things have happened naturally. I've not gone out looking for people. Things have found me, and I know that sounds really like freaky and spooky and a bit like but it honestly it is. And even my manager Lucy, who's been my right hand wife, right, on this, she said to me the other day, oh, well, what are we gonna do? What we can do about this problem? Like, what, how are you gonna manage it? And then I went, what do you think? And she went, just let it go and something will happen. And I went, exactly. There is no point in us fretting about something because somebody is going to walk through that door very soon and they're going to show us the way. She was like, I've got it. So there's my lesson.
And moving on to each guest, we have like a specific topic
okay.
For each question sheet. Your specific topic is women's health, menopause and well-being. First question is, what is the main reason as to why women's health has become such a big passion of yours, do you think?
You see, this is again, really interesting question because I'm actually going to say I don't know. Because it started off, I mean, obviously having been involved in women's health and seeing how much nutrition played for young families. So, let's rewind the clock because there's a lot going on now. In Jersey, well, and the world, but in Jersey. But in 2012, 2013, nobody was really looking at what we were eating that well. And it was obviously becoming quite important that things were changing. We were starting to talk, as I say, starting to mention the word obesity. But Jersey didn't believe it had a problem.
Right.
Guernsey, however, had drafted the first children's obesity study in 2013 by a UK lady. And I started to become really intrigued. So I went off and did my children's obesity course and came back. I was always doing all kinds of courses. And I came back and I was like, look, women are predominantly, not always, the gateway to the home. So they go do the shopping, they go do the cooking.
Yeah.
Okay. In a lot of homes, not saying all. And so if women were not educated and did not understand the concepts of good nutrition, and I'm putting this in inverted commas because whatever good nutrition looks like, another complex subject and a half, then what we were feeding our youth, our generations, was going to cause a long-term effect. So the outcome was going to be that if I'd given you, or your mum had fed you on, McDonald's and chips 3 nights a week, or, you would certainly think McDonald's or, burger and chips was a natural food. It was something that I was used to.
Yeah.
Now, we would like to say that has changed, and it has, because the whole internet, AI, PR work has come in. So we are now, overwhelmed by information on nutrition. So in those early days, everything was about nutrition and about what we should be doing. Then, go back to 2019, the menopause stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on with me. I have no idea. I've gone from a size 10 to a size 16, 14 plus, saw the awful photographs on holiday, and went, oh my God, what has happened to me? So when I tried to lose weight, I couldn't lose my weight. So I was like, whoa, I don't understand. Now, if I don't understand, and I've got a real basic concept and understanding of nutrition and exercise, then how is everybody else managing?
Yeah, okay.
So started to read books when I was in Spain, and then that led me into then talking to other experts. And then in 2022, I then brought over a lady called Carolyn Harris, who is a Labour backbencher now. Or she was then, but Labour wasn't in government at that point.
Yeah.
And she came to Jersey and she started talking about her work in the UK about menopause. And then I started to slowly gain traction. And then the company that I was working for had sponsored that event. They said, look, Trudi, do you think you could do a 6-week course on menopause? This is not my day job, obviously, because I was still back in finance full time on that one.
Yeah.
And I was like, 6 weeks. I was like, I know I'm a qualified teacher trainer, but this is mental. I don't even have got 6 weeks of information on anything. So we started talking to therapists, psychotherapists, and then I started talking. And then this network kind of grew. Yeah. Then I had this really mad idea that as I've now started, so my Vitality for You brand then became Vitality 40 plus.
Right.
Therefore, the menopause space. So Vitality for You was all about health, nutrition, and my fitness business. Then Vitality 40 plus started to become menopause-y and sort of older community. Then I had this idea, let's bring in a doctor. So I started looking through doctors, and nobody's really talking menopause over here. And I came across a doctor called Dr. Becky Harling, who had just come from Cornwall to Jersey. She'd opened up St. Martin's clinic, and she went, oh, I've got a special interest in menopause. And I went, fantastic. Do you fancy coming on board with me? And by the way, do you think I need HRT? Right? Because I've done 2 years without any of this medication. And she went, yeah, I think you should. You're an absolute nutter. I don't even know who you are. What are we doing? So I said, well, I've got this idea. I said, why don't we set up a menopause forum? So I said, you come along as a doctor and do all things doctor related to menopause, right? And I'll do all stuff lifestyle.
Yeah. Okay.
So she went, oh, yeah, it's a great idea. So that was our first event was World Menopause Day, so October the 18th, 2022. And we launched the Menopause Forum. We had no idea, right? We did it as a free event. We had no idea who was going to attend. Right. So I said, Mum, you've got to come along, right? Because you knew nothing about it. You told me nothing about it, so you may as well come in. Becky was like, oh, my God, what am I going to do? And I said, you're a doctor, just talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't have any presentation. She came back with all these flip charts of uteruses and fallopian tubes. And I was like, dear God, I thought we were just going to have a little conversation. The next thing is we have 51 people turning up for this event at Cooper's coffee shop. Right, we were all in this coffee shop together. We got crammed in with the fridges going and really hot night. So we started it. So then that has carried on. I now sort of run quarterly sessions with Dr. Sylvia Jankowska in Jersey. I set up a Gibraltar one initially. We went to the Isle of Man. We're just trying to set up in Guernsey so that it provides this umbrella for women to come to, for now and like a nominal charge where they can talk all things menopause. But then menopause started to become like a bit done. Davina did it. I was on the back of that wave. Yes, come on, Davina. I was holding on. Everyone, see, government didn't want to know me back in 2010. Oh no, but now they wanted to know about menopause because I was the one talking about it.
Yeah.
And yes, did I have imposter syndrome? Absolutely. I'm not the doctor. Um, and then things started happening out of the menopause. Then people were talking about things like endometriosis and adenomyosis and menstrual health. So for the young generation, like what's a normal period? Because if we don't start educating, our young generation, they're not going to know what's right or wrong. And we're bad enough now that nobody, we're in a generation where menopause still wasn't really talked about, but suddenly it's becoming the buzzword.
Yeah.
So then I joined a charity called Wellbeing of Women, which are a UK based charity, but I'm the sort of Jersey representative, which was all about well-being of women's health.
Okay.
Then I started to get actually quite passionate. So I started going to events in London and being invited to House of Parliament and to meet Sophie, who Wessex. So, but able to talk about women's health in general. And I think now you'll find most of us as menopause warriors, as we call ourselves, are now really opening up. So then the more I opened up, the more the press got hold of me, the more people came to me with their stories. And some of the stories are criminal. I mean, like you wouldn't expect your worst enemy to have gone through of the things that women have gone through, either through the medical misogyny or through gaslighting or whatever. Just it's really quite horrific.
Yeah.
So, this women's health thing grew, and then the government were like, okay, can you help us with probably putting a strategy together?
Yeah.
That was in 2021. And here we are in 2026. And you may have noticed that there is no strategy in place. But I have now, no, that's not I have now. But I suppose I have led, and then we've now got a band of us.
Yeah.
Which we now call ourselves the WAGs.
Nice.
We just don't act like the WAGs. We're just the Women in Action group. And it's amazing because now I've got people who are really experienced doctors, gynecologists, a whole tribe of people behind me.
Yeah.
I just sit there putting all their reports together. I'm like the administrator now.
Yeah.
But I bring it together, and so my as we speak, I've brought together all these reports, the UK revised women's health strategy, the work that was done in Jersey in 2024 just got parked and left, brought that together and formulated a document that is there as provisional. And after a meeting, literally 2 weeks ago, we now know that the government will, I will say this on air, will release a strategy in September. Nice. No funding, but strategy. But so there's my passion. There's the love for it. Eve just sits and glues it together. Yeah. And we're already holding, we had, it's now like, go back to your question on community. It's like the hub. It's a place where the endo charity, so Jersey Endometriosis, came and met last week with Christian Alabi. We've got Friends of Africa and the Afro-Caribbean community coming in at the end of July to learn about menopause. And in fact, Dr. Alabi said, I'll come along to that one as well. I was like, okay. So again, we're seeing, because we know that menopause presents itself in different nationalities, but we've got to make sure that all our ethnic groups, cultural change, everything is included in this strategy because we all struggle and suffer with different things.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. And for anyone who isn't familiar, what exactly is menopause and what happens to the body and the mind during that stage of life?
Well, I think one of the biggest things for menopause is that everyone thinks, when you say menopause, they all think, if I was hold on, I'll reverse it to you. Yeah. So if I say menopause to you without overthinking it, what would be the first word that comes into your head?
I don't even know. I'd say mind.
Mine. That's
Mind.
interesting, isn't
Yeah.
it? So a lot of people will think like older,
Right. Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
like you're thinking of an older woman,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that the education piece around menopause. And if you say to them, well, okay, so what's the first symptoms that you can think of? Most people go hot flushes.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that was probably back at, I would say probably 2 years ago. And I think because of the education piece around it. And obviously, you know, hey, new gen, 21-year-old lad talking about menopause, you know, like this is good news. My boys would be like, it's just something mum does. Yeah. But the idea is that with menopause, is that everyone thinks, oh, it's a time when you stop your periods. Okay. So you go through your menstrual cycle, and then menopause is actually the day after literally the day that you've not had a period for a year.
Right. Okay.
That's menopause.
Okay.
And then after you're postmenopause. So you're perimenopausal, then you don't have a period for 12 months. That's menopause.
Yeah.
And then you're postmenopausal.
Right,
So actually, there's a lady called Fiona Catchpole who wrote a book called The Menopause Directory. And it was the first book I ever read on menopause. And her thing was, it's called the menopause day because literally it's a day.
Right.
And then you're postmenopause. So that's one misconception on the menopause.
Yeah.
The other misconception on when you're looking at menopause about what it is you quite rightly said, it's not just a hot flush. It's not. It is an all-over mental and physical change of your entire life. Right now, some women may what they call sail through it, and they may not experience anything.
Right.
Okay. It is an awakening. If you could imagine 3 hormones in your body. So, you know, I have an underactive thyroid. So I have no natural thyroxine in my body. Okay?
Right. Okay.
Now, when I didn't have natural thyroxine, I fell asleep at the wheel of my car. I put on loads of weight. I was really sluggish. I couldn't do anything. This is a hormone. Okay. Right. So you go to the doctor and the doctor says, right, take this pill. And we go, oh, thanks very much. I felt a lot better once I've taken that pill. Right? Yeah. I'm back up. I can buzz. I can do my stuff. I feel like I'm in the room. The thing with menopause is that you're losing 3 hormones at roughly the same time.
Right. Okay. Wow.
So you know, you've got a big combination going on.
Yeah.
I call it the hormonal washing machine, the laundromat of hormones, because you are struggling to keep up with what's happening. Yeah. You know, we know anxiety, brain fog. I was going to say, what was the third thing? Insomnia.
Right,
the 3 things that really affect women predominantly in the workplace. That has a massive knock-on effect, as we know that the women over 50 are the largest growing sector in a workspace. So if you suddenly got a load of women who are suffering with anxiety, brain fog, and are not sleeping, they either struggle through work and then think, God, I'm losing my plot, I'm leaving, which is what happens. So we now know that the new stats as of this year was 8 out of 10 women are saying they are severely affected by menopausal symptoms whilst they're in their workplace. Now, if that workplace isn't embracing this word menopause and either providing training, particularly for their managers, to be able to help women, to be able to go that communication. That's exactly right. To be able to go, look, you know, is there anything that we can do to help you? Is it, you know, and now we have hybrid working, going back to, you know, what we were saying, hybrid working, or the fact that could you come in a bit later? Could you, you know, make up your hours at the end of the day if that's how you feel? But you know, that's another topic in itself. But the menopause obviously was called the change. And I always say to people, you know, everyone thought it was the change because you stop periods, but it isn't. It's here. I was 50. No, how old? I was 51 when I was in Spain. So I was probably 53 when I came back, and all this kicks off. 54, and I was like, embrace it. I could feel inside I was a changing person.
Yeah.
I was evolving into a stronger woman, and you know, we have the biggest divorce, the biggest separation time during these years from about 45 to 55. Excuse me. And that's probably predominantly because you wake up and you think, oh my God, I've got rid of the kids. They're now self-sufficient. Well, I'm not too sure about that, but But they can look after themselves if
Yeah,
they need
yeah.
to. And then you look at the other half that you may have been with for like 40 years and go,
Yeah.
really? Really? Is that it? Is that all I've got? And the empty nest syndrome, and there's so much, you think about films now. I'm so terrible with names. The Julie Walters film, when she goes off and she runs off and marries a Greek waiter.
Yeah, yeah.
You tell me any woman who's past 50 who wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Right? Probably not marry the Greek waiter, but just wants to get off and go into it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I often start a lot of my seminars by saying, imagine if you could just do anything right now. Money was no object, time no object, family no object.
Yeah.
Most people go, yeah, tropical island, sitting there, doing nothing. So yeah, that's a big thing. The education piece is all about the whole space.
Yeah.
Not just a symptom.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. And my next question is, are there things that women can do years in advance to prepare their bodies?
I was in perfect condition when I went into perimenopause and ended up like a fat blob because I stopped everything. The big thing is I always do say, people have been asked this question before about, what piece of advice would you give to somebody in their 30s, say?
Yeah.
Right? Because right then, in the 30s, you're busy raising a family predominantly, or having a great time being like single and running around the world, all the things that you might want to be doing at 30s.
Yeah.
But if you're in the middle of raising a family, the last thing you are going to be thinking about is yourself or menopause. Because as a woman, it's like all about, just being able to get from A to B and juggle children and now a full-time job, because we all know that we have to work probably 8 jobs just to be able to get some form of pension,
Yeah.
So we are in that really difficult space. And my thinking is that if you know that you are not in the best position, as in you have a BMI that is literally hitting 30, you've not exercised because you really haven't had time to exercise because you've got the kids and doing that. I would be really advising, look, now is the time to start thinking. And that really is from about late 30s. So late 30s, you want to be thinking, okay, let's start to think about me. Let's start to be looking at what I'm putting in nutritional wise. Goes back to my original concept of where we were, and also about getting slightly fitter. You don't have to be an athlete. It's just about being able to, and also I should say, it's not about physical health as well. We know that physical and mental health are intrinsically linked. So we often talk about, if you're in poor mental health, the chances are you'll be in poor physical health, and vice versa. So mental health is really critical to our physical well-being. So if you are stressed, which, as you can imagine, in today's world, this word burnout, which seemingly is now like, the buzzword of the corporate world, the fact is that I get asked more and more this year to do presentations on stress and sustainability. And that's quite interesting. Now, obviously, I'm going to throw in women's health in there, aren't I? Like, even if you don't expect it, you are going to get it. But it also is the predominantly, which you said about the menopause space, mind. So because estrogen is literally in every cell of the brain, this brain fog, the forgetfulness, you get overwhelmed very easily. You can get palpitations, which can lead to anxiety. Add in a bit of neurodivergence, bit of sprinkle black and pepper on there, like a bit of ADHD. Right? So ADHD, menopause, family, you're becoming really like a bit quite stressed out. So I would always be saying, also during that run up, just think about where you are on the mental health space. If you have a 0 to 10, 10 being the highest, where are you? How could you do that? Is it sea swimming? Is it going to, have a game of paddle? Is it just going for a walk every day? How many women do I speak to that don't have a lunch? Corporates have an element to play. Oh yeah, you can reduce your hours, but you need to surrender your lunch to go and pick up your child from school.
Right, yeah.
Really? Really? Is that what we're now preaching?
Yeah.
Now you see, now you hit raw nerve. Now, that's me growling.
And what's something you know about women's health now that completely changed the way you coach people?
Oh, wow. Again, I have never appreciated what it's like to have a heavy period, right? So very fortunate during my younger years, periods were crap and, just got on with it.
Yeah.
But it was when I was a director of a trust company, if somebody said to me, oh, I need a day off work because I've got bad period, I'd be like, just get on with it.
Right, okay,
You know?
yeah.
Now, my education, which I've been, pulled along with things like endo and adenomyosis, these are, women go to hospital, to A&E, because they cannot, they're being sick, they're on the floor, they're passing out. This is not a normal period.
No.
This is not a normal period.
Yeah.
And when you hear stories, and we had an event, I said this week, and some of the stories that those women were sharing, which was really so eye-opening, and Kate Fry, who's really done so much work on the endo space to be able to create the first endo clinic in Jersey, by lobbying the government and lobbying and getting the gynecologist to come on board.
Yeah.
We have still a long way to go with primary care and education. Another moment, whether that's menopause, whether that's endo, whether that's any women's health stuff at all, actually. But the fact is that for me to understand that if a woman is saying, or a girl is saying, this is how I feel, that we listen.
Yeah.
And we don't just
get on with it.
Just get on with it.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely right, Harvey, absolutely right. It's not normal.
No. And moving on to advice for others. Yep. If every GP, employer and family member listened to 1 minute of your advice, what would you tell them?
Listen.
Okay.
I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Listen to what's being told. Men are predominantly fixers. They always want to find the solution. Menopause, there is no solution.
Right, okay,
Firstly, as a woman going through it, you actually don't know what's real and what's not. You haven't got a clue what's going on with you, because even though you could read all the books, you're like, well, actually, I could be tired because.
Yeah.
I might be forgetting that because my dad had dementia, which is what I did think.
Right,
okay, because I didn't know. I was words off a page. As you can imagine, I do communicate quite a lot. So when words start falling off a page, it becomes really difficult. And I think GPs, listen. Partners, family members, listen. For you as a young lad, if your mum is experiencing perimenopause, she's probably going through that, and you'll go, oh, Mum, what's going on? And you're like, why are you behaving like that? Yeah. Why are you going mad at me? Yeah. What is wrong with you? And she'll be like, I'm absolutely nothing's wrong with you. You will understand that it's time to back off.
Yeah.
Just go, okay, Mum.
Just leave
and return to your room and shut the door. Okay. Yeah. And I do give that advice to everybody. And of course it's the same with partners, it is really difficult. It's really difficult when you see, and it's not, I've been working in this game for quite a long time now. And I hear stories from men and women, right? So men will come to me and go, my marriage was great, but suddenly, it just was like nothing. It was they didn't want you near them. We made up in separate bedrooms. She's complaining about my snoring. I've been living with her for 25 years. What's all that about? Yeah. And this is a whole ball game. So listen and just listen.
Yeah, okay.
Don't breathe.
And would you give the same advice to them husbands that are coming to you saying, 25 years she hasn't complained about me snoring and stuff like that? Is that the same advice you give?
Oh God! I mean, once they realise, okay, and it is. I mean, it's much easier for me, isn't it? Because I'm objective. So you're not got subjective here. Yeah. So once they realise that it just highlights them. Most of my referrals in my early days of menopause training was from men who had been on work stuff that'd been like mandatory or been told to go. And they would go back to their wives and go, oh my God, you really need to get Trudi into do a presentation, right? But you'd hear some really funny stories. I mean, there was one guy who said to me, I'd been telling a story about a friend of mine who had been married for 25 years and they shared the sofa, and he had this very annoying habit, which he told me this, and I was in Spain, so it was even one of rolling his thumbs around, of twiddling his thumbs, right? Yeah. Now, allegedly, he has done this for 25 years, watching TV. Yeah. While she was going through an early menopause, so even worse, that she didn't really know what was going on, she'd be like, you need to stop that. You really need to stop that, because that is very, very annoying. And he was like, whoa, what's going on? No understanding. Bit of an argument going on. She said, no, we need to change all the lounge around. She said, I need to sit. I can't sit near you. I can't sit. You have to go sit on another chair. Right. So I was telling this story in one of my coaching sessions, and this guy came up to me afterwards. He said, He said, can I ask you something? And, you never know where you're going with this. Any question. I said, yeah, of course you can. He said, well, my wife's been complaining that I keep on shaking my leg. I went, oh my God, you need it cut off. I was like, and he went, she said, she's saying it's really annoying her. And like, she's really, really, I mean, we had a massive row about this. And I was like, there is probably pretty much an element. She's probably perimenopausal, but you are relating that. But you don't have, it's like, you don't have that, so imagine 0 to 60. So if you think of something that annoys you, right, you think of something that annoys you, and you think, right, oh God, this is not, you can have a little bit of a discussion with yourself, like, oh God, let it go, Harvey, it's fine, I'm not going to get wound up, or you're going to go, no, that's really winding me up, I'm going to have it out, right? But we can't have that conversation, because that conversation doesn't go on.
So it's just
bam, bam. Yeah, you're done, right? So that's the problem, and that's why if you start to see your mum like just go mad at odd things, and you're like, you can look at your dad and go, or don't say anything, right? But
okay. My next question is, a lot of businesses will sell a physical product, but I suppose your business is selling more a mission than a product. How important is having a clear purpose with that mission?
Oh God, 100%. And again, I love the word mission, because one of our pending new products, I was going to say, but it's not a product, is it? One of our pending new events is called The Mission.
Right, okay.
And The Mission is all about looking at mindset, but with a therapist. So, we've just launched the the first Eve Reset. It was a 4-week program. We don't do the transformations for over 40s or anything like that. But what we do is we look at 4 weeks. We start to give women a goal. We start to help them with nutritional advice. It's the same concept. The majority of them were members of Eve, but if people from the general public want to do it, they can come in, and for the price, they will get them 4-week membership into Eve. And we had some amazing results. We had a WhatsApp group, we had photographs, we had accountability, and everyone was like, oh my God, this is so good, because you started to be together, and people were coming in with recipe suggestions, or I don't know, what do I do with this cottage cheese? So, but we worked very well. So from the Eve Reset, we then have provisionally launched the Eve Glucose Evolution, which is all about the wearing of continual glucose monitors, CGMs, at the back of your arm. And this gives you metabolic data. This gives you true stats on how food that you put into your body metabolizes, and then you get, on your little app, you get complete quantifiable evidence. So you can then go, oh my God, by eating that ice cream, I have just spiked. So when we talk about insulin resistance, insulin sensitivity, it's when you keep on doing that, eating more, coming out, eat more, coming down, and the pancreas is producing insulin is now tired, and that's when you get insulin resistance. This is when you get your precursor to type 2 diabetes, which is the outcome that we absolutely need to reduce as an island, as a world, as a community. So I'm making it one of my missions.
Yeah.
Only a small one, Harvey. Only a small one. Yeah, really sustainable to bring down diabetes, to bring down obesity in the island. So we've gone right back to the very beginning, 2012, and I'm taking all the stuff that I'm bringing forward into 2026.
Yeah.
So the Eve Glucose Evolution, which I want to roll out to on a global, on a bigger screen, because I need to be able to prove and evidence that if we get a quota of women who fit the characteristics of what we would need to reduce that type 2 diabetes, I can then prove that as a health outcome.
Okay. Yeah.
So we could start changing the shape of providing, but I want women of all economic statuses, of all cultures, of all race and ethnicity, because everybody holds on to eat food, and we have a prototype. Right, and the prototype, unfortunately, is it's not unfortunate, but is very different. It's very, what I can eat and what you can eat will be two totally different things. That's why you'll get even identical twins, one who will put weight on and one who will be really stick thin.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Because it's what's going on in here.
Yeah.
And that's really the proof. So yes, the mission is to reduce type 2 diabetes, and be able to have a really healthy outcome. How we do that and substantiate that, and that the mission is just taking a step further for reset. So once you've started to establish good habits, but you've got to understand why. Why does a brain, if you think about a habit that you do, clean your teeth, right? So every morning you get up, clean your teeth, get up, clean your teeth, right? If you don't do it because of whatever, you feel crap the next day. So you know that you missed your habit, you missed your habit. But that's a good habit, and we've just done that because that's what we were told. We were just brought in. Really. But if I was to say to you, right, you're not going to whatever your weakness is. So, what's your weakness? Food, drink. What's your
food?
Drink?
Yeah, I'll go Coca-Cola.
Oh no!
Like
You did. Right. So if I was to say to you, right, I don't want you to drink any more Coca-Cola. Right. No more Coca-Cola. You'd look at me and go, yeah, that's great. Yeah. And then probably go out there and buy one and get one. And have one, right? Because that's how the brain works. So somehow we have to rewire what you feel when you think you're having a Coca-Cola, right? So how do you feel when you have a Coca-Cola? What does it make you feel? What does it make you feel like? So if I can rewire your brain to make it go, ugh, right? Because actually, I know that if I drink that Coca-Cola, I'm going to rot my insides and I'm going to end up with multiple health conditions as I get older. And it's going to go, your insides are going to go green, right? Just go away. Just think about that next time. When you have a Coke. Yeah. So that's the psychological side.
Okay. Because I remember when I was at school, we used to watch these videos on it was like Super Size Me. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Watch like Big Macs and like people eating. But me and my mates turned around. We were like, we just want a Big Mac after watching it. We just didn't do anything.
Exactly. Because everything we do in the psychological world is built on what we see, hear, smell, touch. So my prime example is if I put down a tray of donuts here, right, and probably neither of us are thinking about a donut at all. You're probably thinking about a Coke actually right now, but part of the donuts. But if we were sat here and we were told, right, we can't touch those donuts, that by the end of this podcast we'll both be like, because you will have smelt them, you will have tasted them, you'll probably salivate, and you're probably doing it right now, thinking about that donut, thinking, why she brought up the word donut? Why she brought that up? And so that's because the brain has just been fed a load of prompts.
Right, okay.
Bit like AI.
True,
So it's been fed a load of prompts. So the brain is now going, you absolutely need a donut and you need a Coke. She's like gagging now, I can see it. You're not having one, but so there you have it, and that's exactly what happens. So then your resistance, this willpower that we're supposed to have, has gone out the window because your brain is the most powerful muscle in the body. So if it says to you, Harvey, go and drink that Coke now and eat a donut, you're like, okay. Even though I'm going to have dinner in 10 minutes and I'm not thirsty at all. But do you see what I mean? So we have to try and replace these bad habits and these bad habits are like bad, but these
Yeah.
the not so good habits
Yeah.
with good habits, and that's how we look at the what we call intrinsic and extrinsic motivators. What tricks your brain to not having that Coke? What would make you not have the Coke? And then let's try and work it out and see how it works. So that's all the psychological of the mission.
Yeah, perfect.
That's a really long story.
No, it's well interesting. And my next question is, how do you protect yourself from burnout whilst running a business?
So if you could take an image of my brain.
Yeah.
Right. So my brain has about 4,000 tabs open,
Right, okay.
as does my laptop. And anybody who comes in to see my laptop nearly has a meltdown about how many tabs is open. I go, yeah, that's my brain, right? It is extraordinarily difficult. When you're in a 9-to-5 job, people talk about burnout, and I, as I say, I lecture on the damn thing, right? And as I lecture, I can hear myself going, I think you might need to listen to this, Trudi. Could you listen to what you're talking about?
Yeah.
But, you could, people will argue with this, but at 5 o'clock, you walk out the door and you shut the door behind you. Right. You tell me anyone in the finance industry does that, but that's the concept, okay?
Yeah.
When you're self-employed, you live it, you breathe it. There is no getting away with it. Suddenly, this idea that I had in November 24 now demands that every month I have to find £14,000 at the end of the month to run a business that I didn't even think I would get. I had no money there to start off with in the first place. Yeah. So suddenly this is real now. This has grown horns and legs and hooves, and it's a running monster.
Yeah.
And now we're sitting here talking about taking on other members of staff and now I'm talking about being a social enterprise and getting money in from, and I'm like, where are we going with this? So burnout, yes, I do struggle. And also when you take that as well, sprinkle some ADHD on there, okay? Anxiety, menopause, even more exciting, and overwhelm, right? Because I can't. There's too many tabs open, and I don't know. And then people say, "Well, you haven't actually responded." Oh my God, I haven't responded to you. So drop that project, or perhaps try to do that one on this computer. It's really hard. But and also when you're in your home life, my partner, he's a director of Eve. He came in. He was direct by default, really. But he says, like I come in and I sometimes bring my laptop in to watch TV. I'll just put my laptop here. He went, "Why are you bringing your laptop in?" And I'm like, because I can just do a couple of things whilst I'm watching TV. He's like, is this going to happen every night? So you can now see an argument about to kick off.
That's exactly what happens with me and my girlfriend.
Yeah, you see? That's exactly it already. And he's like, do you have to do that? Can't we have a conversation? Yeah, I can talk.
Yeah, whilst being on your laptop.
I'm watching a series. And then listen, you don't have glasses, I have to keep going like this and then this and then trying to look out and like looking down and I'm not doing anything. Right. But so it is really difficult. My big thing is getting in the water.
Yeah.
So I think I mentioned this morning that, the big thing here is when I feel I'm starting to overwhelm. And some of it can be my own fault through playing a bit hard. Or in fact just getting into the point where I need some clarity. So that's why cold water to me. I mean, it's obviously not cold water. I know everyone will think it's cold, but it's not cold now at all. I'm quite happy jumping in there. But that's why the cold water swimming is so good, because it rewires your parasympathetic system and it literally gives you a dopamine hit. Now, the other way of doing that is actually doing exercise. I mean, I couldn't think of anything worse, to be frankly honest, in my world, going off and doing exercise. Do about 15 classes a week as it is.
True.
But go out for a walk. And I feel a bit peeved at myself at the moment because I'm coming back, having dinner, and then I'm actually, I want to go for a walk. And then if Derek goes, oh, I don't really feel like it, then I go, okay, I'll just sit down on the TV. Whereas actually that 15-minute, apart from a digestive issue, and it really does help to bring the glucose down, by the way, just a bit of a normal, but it also that just like chills you out, because if I do a 15-minute walk and come back, the chance of I'm not going to pick up my laptop because I'm going to feel like mentally chilled. So getting out and and just trying to like give myself life. And then when I go on holiday, I am really good. I normally check in the mornings, but I really do stop.
That's
it's
good.
like I have to, because it's like my body has to it has to sleep.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
to like
Yeah.
rewire.
Yeah. Makes sense. And my other question is, what is one lesson you think every young entrepreneur should learn early, based on your experience with your business?
Balance,
Balance.
life balance.
Yeah.
Try not to do everything. No, one of the things I really do regret, and I don't regret a lot, but is the ability to travel early on.
Yeah.
To just do a few things that like you're like, well, I could be going to earn some money, but I could just go and do this, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be, because you can incorporate that if you're doing a 9 to 5. But if you're entrepreneurial and you've got that taste, and it is only, when you're young, you want to embrace that, because that's phenomenal. I didn't really have that. I had the idea that I wanted to be the top. If I was going to be the police force, I was going to be superintendent.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? I knew that. Right? I knew if I was in the trust world as an administrator, I wanted to be a director.
Yeah. Nice.
I wanted to be whatever. Whatever I did. So I suppose in a way, just stay focused. Try and balance everything out at the same time. Don't just go wildly into something with no backup. Make sure you've got over 3 months' money.
And what is the secret to building a business that creates a community, do you think?
To build it with a creative community, well, staff and members. Okay. You know what? How did I ever? When I started promoting Eve, nobody really knew me. I mean, I've been out the fitness game for quite a long time over here, so nobody really remember. I mean, a few people say, "Oh, yeah, you were at Bodybox, weren't you?" You know, that's getting back. You can take the years off that one.
Yes.
But I suppose it's being open, honest. I always say, it doesn't matter if you're not a member or not. If you're passing the doors of Eve and you're feeling you're having a crap day, step in, have a coffee, have a tea.
Yeah.
We've got a chair, we've got sofas. Come and have a chat.
Yeah.
You know, the whole visionary was that it was somewhere to go. And if I've had one woman, I've had 10 women come in, whether we have a lady who's getting married on Saturday, she's young, and she comes in and she was like in tears last week, and we were like, and I was like, it's okay, let's go and sit outside in the sun for a bit, let's have a little chat. It'll be fun. But it's all about creating, and like a company, like a finance organization, or any kind of organization, culture comes from the top. Culture comes from the leader. You could have everybody doing everything down here, but if the leader isn't right and is Hitler, for example, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I should be saying that one, but you know what I mean. But it's like a Freudian, a bureaucratic, dictatorial leader, right?
Yeah.
That you then end up not being able to have the culture you want, because it will always be poisoned. It'll be toxic.
Yeah.
And that's what you see, for me, who contracted for years and years in industry, going in, I could always tell the organisations I would love to work for because of the leaders that were involved.
Yeah.
So for me now, as the leader, it's about, we are flat. We have no structure, that's in hierarchical.
Yeah.
And I want everybody to be autonomous. And again, learn by your mistakes. Don't say to me, oh, I don't know what to do. I used to say that when I was in the trust industry. Well, tell me, what would you do?
Yeah.
What would you do? And let's discuss the reasons why that. If I don't think it's a good idea in the finance industry, I get paid enough money to be able to say to you, no, don't do that because.
Yeah.
But the idea is that we learn. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to fail. Go back to that advice, because that, I have failed. I have lost everything. I have come from nothing. I mean, literally nothing. And that was when I was 53. So, everything is possible if you want it.
Yeah.
Be hungry.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. And we've got a tradition on the podcast where viewers submit their questions via Slido. Got 2 questions for you. The first one is from Cody Olchin. When times are tough in your personal life, what keeps you going with your business?
Oh, very interesting, isn't it? Yeah. When you are a front person, so we can go into class, and any fitness instructor or anybody who works out front, or a hairdresser, anything like that, right? You're, whatever. Yeah. You have to have your game face on, right?
Yeah.
I can't go into class knowing that I've had a big row back home, or we've had, money. Remember that all these external stresses I talk about, money, family, health, work are always going to be there, just differing differing amounts, you know.
Yeah.
But you have an argument at home, and you go in. The last thing people want to, they've paid their money to come into class for my energy, for my motivation. So I have to be able to go, right, compartmentalize, game face on, let's go, girls, let's go. It's really weird because I can have the moments and I put the music on. I'll change the music to something that I know that kicks me going, right? And I put it on, bam, they're gone. And even when we've got, and I suppose that's where Lucy and I, having worked very, very closely together, I will often know if she's out of sync, or she'll say to me, "Are you okay?" And I'll go, she'll go, "Okay. Should we have a coffee? Shall I go get a coffee?" And I'll go, "Yeah," and we'll talk afterwards. But it is, and so that compartmentalize is really hard. But we, as external people, we have no choice.
Yeah,
you really do need to go right in that next. Those people are relying on you for the motivation. And for that energy.
Yeah, I suppose you're like always on stage, aren't you? It's always smiling.
It goes back to what I used to do for years and years and years. You go on stage, you don't start thinking about you when you step on that stage, whether I was performing in pantomime or performing in Shakespeare. Okay, you are engrossed in that persona. You are that person. You know, and that's what I often say to people when we talk about confidence. You know, they say, "Oh, you exude confidence." You know, do you not think that I am not a doctor? When I stand on stage, in the next 3 months, I've been invited to massive conventions to be a speaker, like both in Birmingham, to talk to the Birmingham Council about how to improve their women's health strategy. And I'm like, oh, I need to wake up here, imposter syndrome. You know, I'm not the doctor. I'm not the one. So it's about your self-belief. Just go, right, I'm focusing on what I have to do right now. Which goes back to anything. Just be mindful of the moment. Where are those donuts?
And the other question is from Nikki Maddox. I think I've said that right.
Yeah.
Which person, or do you know her?
She's a member of Eva. I'm now very nervous about what she's going to have asked.
Which person or people have been your biggest inspiration in your life?
Oh, good one, Nix. Well, actually, I was really fortunate that I came from quite a good stock of very, I was going to say dominant, and I don't know if dominant, but quite powerful women.
Yeah.
So my nan was, back in the day, she got divorced, which was very unusual. But she ran her own hairdressing business. She took her children over when the war started, brought them back on her own, came back with her, started her hairdressing business again. So she was like chairing the hairdressing federation, you know, like she had like a beautiful silver streak in her hair. You know, she was like, and she was there in my childhood. She looked after me.
Right.
So I often feel, and I've often been told by mediums as well, that she is around me and things happen. I'm telling you, if anything happens in the studio right now, you'll probably freak before I do, but she is around me a lot of the time. I have my auntie, so her eldest daughter, who unfortunately passed, Pat Dubras. She was quite a powerful force in her own nature in Jersey, so she created the arts centre.
Right, okay.
So she was part of that opening. She raised funds, and that she was patron for there. She ran the Jersey Hampton Dramatic Club, hence my world for the theatre. And she had her own business. She had her own hairdressing chain of businesses. So again, a very dominant, very powerful. My mum brought me up. So again, you know, in her own right, she was the one that, you know, led me into this sort of self-belief thing. And, you know, as much now, when I talked about Eve, she's like the reason of doubt for most of my thing. Are you sure? Oh, you don't want to do that. Why would you be doing that? Why do you want to do that? I'd be like, yeah, Mum, that's probably quite a good point. But I'm actually not thinking about that right now. So yeah, she's been a big fan. I always make sure, as I say, she's a little bit more physically incapacitated these days, but we make sure that we get her there to every party. She was there at the birthday party, any kind of drinks events, to get her up there, you know, get her there, because she's like, you know, number one, she's in there.
Yeah, that's good. And that's all my questions for you.
Wonderful.
But thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I've definitely enjoyed it.
Hopefully you've learned something.
I've loved it, yeah.
It'll be a new world for you.
Yeah.
New world of women's health. You're there.
Change man.
Yeah. You are the new man. You are the new man. Thanks, Harvey.
But yes,
Much
thank you
appreciated.
for coming on. Thank you.
Cheers.